You notice it in the pause before you speak, the breath you hold a second too long, the sentence that stays locked behind your teeth. There's a familiar weight in your chest as you choose silence again, wondering, quietly, when it became easier to feel everything than to say anything at all. You listen more than you talk. You notice the shift in tone before anyone else does. You feel the room change. In ordinary moments, someone joking too loudly, a careless comment at dinner, a look that lingers a fraction too long, you absorb it all without reacting, as if your body learned long ago that stillness is safer than expression. Nothing dramatic happens, yet something inside you tightens and settles into that familiar quiet. You replay conversations later, not the words you said, but the ones you swallowed, the emotion you edited out. Lying in bed or staring at a dark window, you feel it rise again. The same feeling you hid earlier. Proof that silence doesn't make emotions disappear. It only delays them. You know this pattern well, even if you've never named it. Most people would have clicked away by now. But you're still here. Because this isn't about shyness, and it isn't about weakness. It's about how your nervous system learned to survive. Somewhere early on, you realized that expressing everything you felt didn't always lead to understanding. It sometimes led to tension, dismissal, or consequences you couldn't control. So your body adapted before your mind ever had a say. You became observant, careful, quietly precise. You learned to scan faces, moods, silences, and subtle changes, storing emotional information instead of releasing it, because holding it inside felt more predictable than letting it land in the wrong hands. This isn't something you decided. It's something that happened to you. Feeling deeply without speaking is not emptiness. It's containment. You notice how quickly you take responsibility for emotional atmosphere, how instinctively you soften your reactions, how you translate intensity into composure. In group settings, you often become the calm presence, not because you feel less, but because you feel too much to risk letting it spill uncontrollably. So you internalize what others externalize. There's a quiet vigilance in this, an invisible readiness, a constant monitoring of what is safe to reveal. Your emotions don't lack depth, they lack permission. And over time, that permission learned to disappear before you even looked for it. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Silence became your language, and no one taught you how to translate back. You don't stay quiet because you have nothing to say. You stay quiet because you've learned that words can complicate safety. So instead, you carry emotional intensity inward, shaping it into understanding rather than expression. Because understanding feels controllable in ways vulnerability sometimes does not. It's not fear, it's strategy. The world often mistakes this for emotional distance, but inside, nothing is distant. Everything is close. Memories, reactions, feelings, and interpretations stack quietly, creating a rich internal life that few people ever fully witness. Not because you hide it deliberately, but because opening it feels like a risk your body never stops calculating. Most people won't notice this about you. They see calm, they see restraint, they see strength. What they don't see is how much effort it takes to stay composed while everything inside you is awake and responding. Feeling everything but saying nothing isn't a flaw. It's a history of moments where silence felt safer than honesty, where composure protected connection, where restraint kept the peace. And even now, when the threat is gone, the pattern remains, because your system doesn't forget what once kept you intact. Eventually, the quiet becomes familiar, almost comforting. You learn how to live inside it. And yet, every so often, there's a subtle ache. Not loud, not dramatic, just a sense that something essential is always being held back, waiting for a space that feels safe enough to exist out loud. If this feels uncomfortably familiar, there's a reason. You're not broken. You're not cold. You're someone who learned to carry intensity inward because it once made life more manageable. And maybe the most revealing part isn't that you feel everything and say nothing. It's that you've survived by doing exactly that. If your mind naturally lives in places like this, you might belong here with us. Subscribe to Dark Mode Psychology. Let's look a little deeper.